All right. Hello, friends, and welcome today. I have Kate on the podcast, and she's going to be talking about 8 steps to cultivate self care so you can create a healthy lifestyle. So, first, Kate, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Hey, Michelle, it is such a pleasure to be here. And yeah, I'm a health coach based in Queensland, Australia. And I first got into health and lifting weights in the gym specifically as a means by which to transform not only my own body, but also my self confidence. And that is one of the things I love most today about working with other individuals in the gym and out of the gym.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. So, I think this is such an important topic because when a lot of people come to me, it really starts from a lack of taking care of themselves and caring for themselves. And if you don't have that in place first, especially mindset wise, it gets really hard to take healthy steps and follow through and stay consistent with things. So, let's dive into what is your first step?
Cool. Before we dive in, I want to say I completely agree. And I learned this the hard way, right? Call it self care, self love, you time, whatever it is. In what I not so affectionately like to call the business from over a decade ago, I did not make time for self care and I suffered. I was a lot younger. I wasn't over 40. I now am. So I got away with it. However, for our listeners that might be suffering with and not getting away with not making time for self care, for sure, let's delve into the steps. And number one is self talk. That is the first step.
So tell me a little more because self talk is huge. And I think a lot of times we're not even recognizing that self talk, those automatic things that are going on in our mind that affect us.
100%. I mean, the only person that you get to spend all of your time with is you. And I like to say your unconscious mind is always listening to your talk and it's taking it on board. And you mentioned those ants, the automatic negative talk that we often have. Such an opportunity to reframe that talk so that it is more supportive and it's more in your favor and in favor of the life, the health, the body, whatever it may be that you are looking to create and focusing on the positive rather than all the to work ons and everything that's not right yet.
Yeah, I love that. I'm always asking my clients at the end of the week, what went well? Because a lot of
100%.
times we don't even notice what went well. We're noticing those things we're still not doing yet or those things that didn't go well. And we're not noticing what actually happened in reality.
Absolutely. Focus on the progress that you have made. I'm even a fan of jotting down 3 reference points for success every day so that, yes, you do focus on that progress because that's motivating.
Yeah, absolutely. So, step number one is self talk. What is step number two?
So, E in self care is for elicit your values and use them as a daily filter so far as your decision making. Now, this is huge. It's maybe the most important one to me. Those values are those emotional states that we're drawn to. Maybe it's freedom, integrity, love, and connection. And part of prioritizing you and looking out for you is to first connect with, elicit what those values are if you haven't yet and then align your daily actions with those values. You're just going to feel so much more congruent in your life. And so far as your health, the decisions that you make, the actions you need to take, they're going to be simple and sustainable rather than a constant struggle.
Yeah. So, eliciting a value that you have, and also you intertwined emotional state with that. So, a positive
Yes.
emotional state. So, could you give us an example of what that looks like?
100%. My number one value is freedom. And if you're not aware of what your values are, so mine are freedom, integrity, passion. There are lots. I recommend brainstorming all of them and then putting them in order of priority. And you would do that
Mm.
by saying, what is more important to me in my life, freedom or passion? Doesn't mean passion's not important, just means freedom's number one. If our listeners aren't there yet, sometimes you know what your values are when you're not experiencing them. So to call back from that business from hell, I had zero freedom. It was part of a gym franchise. I was hemorrhaging money. I was working 14-hour days. I felt trapped And that really brought home to me that the number one most important thing to me is freedom. And even when I'm experiencing lots of freedom like I am now, it's still my number one value. I'm still very drawn to it. And there's no right or wrong. Our listeners, maybe they're, again, maybe it's family or love. Think of how you spend your time, your energy, and your money, how you currently spend it and what you're drawn to.
Yeah, and not just how you currently spend it, how you want to be spending it too, because a
True.
lot of times we get stuck in ruts where we're not doing what we want to. But I think that's huge because when we can actually take that time to sit down and think about our values and what's important and look at what we're actually investing our time to and where we need to make some shifts, that can become really important because for a lot of us, I would say for my listeners, a lot of them, it's going to be family. It's
Mm,
also going to be their health, but how can we start to shift to get to some of those things so that what we value is what is showing up in our lives?
exactly, 100%.
Yeah. And so let's go on to step number 3.
Number three is massive as well, especially as personal trainers. It is lock and load the habits or keystone habits. So, those big foundational habits that keep you healthy and happy. Healthy, of course, that's what we're all about, Michelle, but happy is just as important because something's not sustainable if it doesn't help make you happy. So, for example, those keystone habits that you lock and load might be planning your whole food meals, it might be exercise, it might be sleep, meditation, journaling, gratitude. By keystone, I mean the habits that are so foundational. Once you lock and load them in place as a priority in your day and your week, it's easier to form other healthy, smaller habits around them. So we want to lock and load them first, and we want to make them non negotiable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm all about healthy habits to really get to those small, sustainable changes, especially like it came up with those examples that you said, like sleep, your
Hmm.
exercise, meal planning. Maybe you're just starting with breakfast. Maybe you're going to start getting more protein, whatever it is, starting with those small habits that you can continue to build on. Because I hear from clients after they've done it, okay, well, now this is getting easier. Then you're ready for something else instead of making these big changes. And as we're talking, I just want you to clarify what self care is because obviously we're talking about things here like our mental health, exercise, nutrition, and all these different things. So, can you define self care?
Yeah, lots of definitions. As I said, some people might call it you time or self love. It's prioritizing the habits and even the thought patterns, as you mentioned with mindset, that help keep you operating and feeling optimally. So it's different for everyone, and some of them are locked and loaded as a habit on a weekly basis. Some of them might be more a mindset, sort of a reframe, but self care is what you need to do to look out for you so that you can turn up better in the world for everyone else. And again, many of us learn this the hard way. I mentioned I learned that in the previous business. So it might be a reassessing for our listeners over the period of their lives as well. Hey, these habits that did work for me in the past maybe aren't working anymore. What do I need to insert into my day and my week so that, again, I'm functioning, happy, healthy, effective, efficient, everything that you want to be functioning?
Yeah, because I think when we're thinking of self care, some people might have the mindset that it's like something extra or fluffy that we're pampering ourselves
Hmm.
with. But really, these self care habits are more like a foundation, more of a
100%.
necessity. So we have to really make sure that we're looking at it from that point. All right. So we have self talk, our values, our keystone habits. So what is step 4?
F is to filter the people you spend time with. This is massive. People might, you can probably recall when you've spent time with a really exhausting person versus when you've spent time with one of your best girlfriends and you are just on such a high and so full of energy and positivity afterwards. Now, of course, we don't have complete control over this. Maybe some of our family members are a little bit draining. We do have an ability to be aware of who we are filtering into our life to a degree and act where we can, and also take a little bit more control so far as who we are filtering out of our life as well. So being more active and proactive about these people that either give us energy or suck our energy.
Absolutely. I remember a long time ago, I was listening to something and it was like, the people that you're around most is who you're acting like. So,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to our health, my husband's military, so we move and we've been here a year and a half. But I have found people that homeschool because I homeschool, and moms who like will go on walks with me or play pickleball with me. So I am filtering people who I will get along with and also who have a healthy lifestyle themselves, because that's what I want to do when I hang out with them. So I think that's important. And I also want to bring up one of my clients recently. She had a friend she typically would go out for drinks with quite a bit. And so she knew that she needed to do less drinking. So she actually asked her friend, like, hey, what if we go to Pilates class together? And her friend's like, yeah, of course. So sometimes we can
Amazing.
also have that power to change the dynamic in relationships too. So I just want to put that out there too.
I love that. That is an absolutely perfect example. And as you illustrate, the people you spend time with can either make it so much easier for your healthy habits to stick or so much more struggle street for you to create those habits.
Yeah, and it may not always work like that, but sometimes we have to take that initiative or ask someone something, and they might even want something like that too,
For
a
sure.
healthier choice or something. All right, so tell us about step number 5.
C is for create not to do list. So, Michelle, you mentioned before, like getting enough sleep and such. And often people make it harder for themselves by just setting the alarm for earlier. The first step is actually to get to bed earlier so that you can get up earlier. And it's the same with the not to do list. It sometimes should precede your to do list. So, if your to do list is really long and you're not getting through it and it is stressing you out, you need to magic up some time, create some more time by eliminating some of the things that just aren't high value, don't make you more effective or efficient, aren't joyful. So that not to do list, it could be cliches such as time on social media after a certain period of time, Netflix, all of the stuff that we know and don't always implement. Sometimes just jotting that down and being really intentional about it, and also being aware of what that's going to allow you to include in your life, the more to dos that you get to do, that can be really impactful.
Yeah, I love that. I haven't heard it that way, a not to-do list.
Correct.
But yes, eliminating those distractions, like just with my phone, by 8 o'clock, I put it on the charger and I don't look at it unless I need to
Perfect.
set an alarm or something like that. But I
Yeah,
think
so
that's really
good.
important. I just deleted Facebook from my phone, so I'll go to my computer to check it. But sometimes we need those strong barriers in place when we notice that we're not where we want to be, and just taking that time to be honest with ourselves and what
Yep.
is our distraction, what do we need to eliminate, because it goes back to those values that you talked about, so we can be more in align with our values, because my value is not scrolling social media, but that might be what I'm doing.
100%. Yeah, it's
Yes.
so true. And those positive constraints can be really helpful and actually really freeing. Don't think of them as restrictive and rules and all of this. I think of them as freeing to allow you to live the life and have the health that you're striving for. So, yeah, putting in place those positive constraints, perfect.
Yeah. All right, so step number 6.
This is a to work on for me. I did it for a while. It was so effective and it's fallen out of my week. And that is a digital detox. So I used to do it for 24 hours. I would pick a 24-hour period, say 4 p.m. Saturday to 4 p.m. Sunday, where I would not be scrolling or social mediaing. I'd use my phone for SMSs to catch up with friends, but none of this mindless stuff that can just eat into our day and our life. And it's good to set an agreed on period, and ideally with your family or other loved ones as well. And again, really freeing. I really need to work it back into my week.
Yeah, and when you did that, what did you notice?
I just, freeing is the word, right? I'd go out for my stroll along the beaches early in the morning and I just wasn't missing anything. I felt so fresh when I came back to work. It released the pressure, because even if you're not working, even if you're just scrolling, you're still comparing, you're being flooded with information and advertisements, and just a 24-hour period of knowing that none of that was getting in and it was all within my control. I would it was refreshing and freeing and really good.
Yeah, and for you, that freeing goes back to your value
It
of
does.
freedom.
Yeah,
So I love that.
100%.
And I was thinking, and you sort of brought up too, is just I feel like I get information overload. I think a lot of people get information overload. Like I always want to learn stuff. And I think it's good to take that step back. I haven't quite done a full digital detox, like 24 hours like that, but I do little ones. But that is definitely something I need to think about. Our tween teenage boys like lost their electronic privileges for like 48 hours. But it was interesting by the end of that, they were like playing together more. It was
Amazing.
like really like such a difference. And we have limits on electronic time and stuff like that. But I was like, wow, like it really does change us. And it's such part of our life right now.
100%, and it is only going to get worse, which means we only need to get better at putting in place those positive constraints so that we do have the time and energy and appreciation for stuff like one-on-one interaction with other humans face to face in real life.
Yes, absolutely.
Huh.
All right. So what is number 7?
This is another one of my favorites, and it is realistic expectations for both yourself and the people that you love. Do you have something that you're working towards or something that is really, really important to you personally? And not everyone in your life is on the same page. So maybe it is your health goal and your health, whatever healthy eating is to you. Maybe you've made these upgrades and it's creating a bit of conflict in your family because they're not all on the same page. They want to be having the processed biscuits and chips as snacks or the meals out at that kind of not so healthy restaurant. Whatever it is in your best interest to have realistic expectations of both yourself and the steps you're looking to take to achieve your goal. However, also to get better, and this is so hard, but to get better at meeting your loved ones where they are, not enforcing your goal, your values, your beliefs. It's all interconnected, not enforcing them on those people around you who have different goals and values and experiences of the world. So sometimes I reframe this as lowering the bar to raise your chance of success. So, in relation to you as an individual, if you're looking to exercise an hour a day and that's not working, Michelle, I know you're a fan of this. Start small so that it's realistic. And if your family's not on board, lower the bar so far as your expectation of them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So that expectation of yourself. And yes, I'm always telling people you can start with 5, 10 minutes. Like,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. And I also find it interesting as I'm talking to some clients, they'll be talking about their kids and how they want their kids to have less sugar. Their kids aren't eating healthy and they're barely just starting the journey themselves. So I think it's always
Mm,
that helpful place. Obviously, as moms or even other people in our family, we care about people and we want the best for them and them to be healthy. But it really is working on yourself first and then letting people just see that. And it's really their choice. I mean, if it's a kid in your house, you can provide food or not provide certain foods. But really, it starts with that working on yourself and getting those healthy habits really strong on yourself first.
100%. And often, if we make a big lifestyle changing decision, we personally might have been marinating on that for quite a while before we make that decision. And then we're like, woohoo, hey, family, this is the new decision. This is where we're headed. They haven't had that time. You've just surprised them with this huge life altering decision. And, no one's going to take an action because it's our goal or we're forcing it on them. They've got to come to it in their own time. And as you say, all you can do is lead by example.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the last step number 8.
Easy 5 minute fixes. So sometimes all of this just feels a little bit too hard. And if you're not in a good routine with your self care and prioritizing you, sometimes you're just like, Kate, I don't want to go do an hour workout or elicit my values and use them as you just want easy. What is something that you can do in 5 minutes? It might be play a song you love. It might be go for like a 5 minute walk around the block. Let the sun fall on your face for 5 minutes. Send a few beautiful SMSs to people you're grateful for and wait for their replies to come back in. Whatever it is that's simple for you, that's got a low barrier to entry so far as time and cost, there's some really good things to have up your sleeve for when you need them.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when it comes to our mental health and feeling good mentally, what is that 5-minute thing you can do? Is it listening to that upbeat song, like you said, or going for a walk, or taking a little time to journal or pray, like something that's really simple and easy? Because if we can get our mind on board, our day will go better.
100%. And I mean, this is one of the things that does get easier as we get older. Some things might get a little bit tougher. However, what we get so much better at is knowing what works for us and our body and our mindset. So far as maybe the mindset games to play with yourself, the reframes, the whatever it is, we know what's worked for us in the past and what is effective for us now. So we've got a bigger toolkit of strategies to turn to as we get older. And that's one of the fabulous things about staying healthy over 40.
Absolutely. So, a little quick recap here. So, we had that self talk, noticing what's going on in your mind. Step number two is your values. And you could just see how the values are really this foundation. Three is the keystone habits. So, again, those simple habits. What is that easiest thing you can do to start developing what you want to towards your values? Four, filter the people that you spend time with. Five, create that not to do list. So, starting to eliminate those distractions. Take that digital detox, which, if I do that, guys, I will let you know.
Yes.
And then number seven, realistic expectations, not only of yourself, but also others and those people around you. And eight, an easy 5-minute fix. So, is there anything else that you would like to add to this, Kate?
All I would say is if one of them's resonating, don't feel overwhelmed by all of them. Start with the one that resonates most with you. And I guess my biggest mindset shift is if you're in an attitude of fighting your body and restriction and discipline and anything like that, my best advice would be to think of you and your body as a team. You're in this together. You want the best for each other. It's all about cultivating a supportive relationship, about finding the exercise that you find joyful and finding the food that is diverse and abundant. And it's all about love for yourself and your body. As cheesy as that sounds, cliches are cliches because they work.
Yeah, I love that. I haven't heard it quite like that. You and your body are a team, because
100%.
if we can start to think of that and visualize that in our head, it can make such a difference to bring more love and kindness to ourselves as we go about our days and our lives and when things get hard.
Exactly.
So I will have all these steps in the description. And then, Kate, tell us a little bit about you and where people can connect with you.
Thank you, Michelle. So the best way to connect with me is strongbodygreenplanet.com. Via that website, it links to my healthification podcast, which is 870 plus episodes. It's been around for a long time. Also, my plant positive journal. So, for anyone that's looking to master their time and their mind while adopting a healthy plant based lifestyle, this is a beautiful journal and daily planner full of recipes and art and all of that.
Perfect. And I'll have those links down in the description. I hope you guys all enjoy this episode. And I hope you're thinking of what is that one thing that's really sticking out to you today that you can start to take that next step forward so you can live more in alignment with your values and that you can live healthier. So, all right, everyone, have a good day. Hey, friends, thanks so much for watching. Make sure that you hit subscribe and ask any questions down below.